Water is the element of change. The people of the water tribe are capable of adapting to many things. They have a deep sense of community and love that holds them together through anything.
Welcome back. My name is Nick, and I have Kyle here with me. Pegos with a zero on Instagram. He's a super talented artist. Go follow him. And by the way, he also helps with a couple of our shirt designs at thebestnerdyshirts.com. But today we're going to be talking about the Water Tribe. I mean,
that's
full
right.
on ice to maybe even some swampy swamp. But we're going to be talking about it.
Swamp. All right.
Our cousins from the swamp. Gator. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
The Floridans of the Avatar universe. All right, anyway.
We're going to have so much fun breaking down the culture. We already did the Air Nation, or the Air Nomads, not the Air Nation. And it was so much fun going around their temple designs to the characters and all that fun stuff. You don't go check it out. I'm not going to talk about it too much here. Kyle, bring us in with the tide.
Yeah. All right. Well,
see that?
like many things. Hey, man, you're really tying it in today. I love it. Okay, so most of my content is going to just take us within the confines of like the 100 Years War that's happening. You know, right? We might have like a couple core of things, but yeah. So I'm going to start with the Water Tribe's clothing and fashion. Right. So the Water Tribe uses like this palette of blues, purples, and whites, which of course signifies their people's ties to water bending. Same thing with the waved, like we see a lot of water or wave pattern imagery like on their clothing and stuff. That again ties back to that connection, right? Same thing with their animal furs, right? They are also people of their environment. They need to survive the frigid cold, and there's a lot of furry, cute animals that need to stay warm.
Be quiet!
They can kill because they're also hunters, right? They're, we get this hints from like the spears they carry and just the environment they live in, right? And then so Katara's dress slightly resembles a Vietnamese ao dai. Right. So that's like a long split tunic dress that's commonly worn over trousers. But like for her, it's, she's got like the pant wraps and stuff like that. Yeah. And now in juxtaposition, the Foggy Swamp Tribe is, they're an exception, right? So they tend to wear greens and browns due to their affinity with plants and the color of the water that's there, which is like this greenish puke brown, right?
And probably also because of the temperature too.
Exactly, right? It's pretty muggy, all right? You're going to want to dress light, okay?
How you like that possum chicken? Tastes just like Arctic hen.
And so this is, also reflected in a lot of their, garments, as we were just talking about, which, they use leaves, bark, lily pads for hats, which is cute, and also very functional. And other plants, plant-sourced clothing, whether it's for function or decoration, right? And so two things I want to talk about in terms of hairstyles. I don't know what these are called. I just call them hair loopies.
That's I think in the show. That's
yes.
what they call it all the time.
Oh, they do? They call them hair loopies. Okay.
Imagine if you lost your arrow, or if Katara lost her hair loopies.
Great. Because the women have these hair loopies that we'll see, right? Coming from their forehead, going right to there. And so the southern Water Tribe tends to typically have them worn pretty plain, sometimes braided, but that's about it. With the Northern Water Tribe, it's often braided into more intricate designs, right? And sometimes there's accessories in there as well. And then for the guys, and this is common. I wouldn't say it's like universal, but one hairstyle that's really popular is the warrior's wolf tail, right? So that's where, it requires young warriors to shave the sides of their head while growing out the top, right? So they can have that tail.
Sokka,
Now,
basically.
exactly, like Sokka has a he's starting out with one, and then as the warrior ages, they then let the sides of their hair grow out and remain uncut. So you'll see this in some of the older guys; they'll have like the sides growing out like that.
I believe Sokka's dad, basically.
Yes, exactly. He is an older warrior.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's more experienced. And then now we're going to go into a little bit of the values. So family is extremely important in water tribe culture. All members of the tribe are like recognize each other as kin to an extent, right? And it's also traditional that a child is named after a family member, right? So that's the thing. I often wonder. I'm like, how do they have new names then? Like how diverse is that name pool?
It's very, very British.
Yeah. And then apparently, so this comes from some extended universe stuff actually. So their generosity is actually highly valued among them. So there's an old saying among merchants of the other nations that the generosity of the water tribe traders was considered the greatest, right? So this is from the Dawn of Yang Chen, which is of the Avatar Legends franchise of books. So this was like, I think, the last airbender in the cycle from Aang, I believe. And so another huge thing in their culture is the moon, as you can imagine, right, as it relates to the tides, and is a spiritual connection to their water bending, right? And then just like the moon is a significant spiritual conduit for the polar tribes, the foggy swamp tribe are competent plant benders, right? Because of the water they absorb, right? So, and of course, this is due to the swamp's strong spiritual energy tying the tribes people to the flora in the area.
And the tree.
Right.
The tree that
yes, the great banyan tree. Yes. Yeah. And then also it seems to be their culture seems to be patriarchal in certain ways. And I'd say like there's a couple examples of that. So like warriors and hunters are highly valued members of the community, right? The marriage practices as well are lean that way. And we'll get into that into the custom section. And then the dominant season for the water tribe is of course winter, right? It's great for them, and it's great for them because they mainly live in regions that snow year round. So, they're the most powerfulest where they locate, right?
With water around them, basically.
Exactly. And then, okay, so now getting into the customs. And as I just mentioned with marriage, so in the Northern Water Tribe, engaged women typically wear betrothal necklaces. So it's gifted to them by the men who wish to marry them, right? And that signifies that the woman is spoken for, right? So these necklaces are crafted by the man, which makes each of them unique, right? There's not one that's ever the same. And the wedding ceremony is completely organized by the parents, and of course, arranged marriages are the norm, or arranged marriages are the norm, right? So, however, in the Southern Water Tribe, though, it seems that people are allowed to choose their own spouses. It seemed because Katara and Aang got together, right?
But then also too, there's a whole story with Katara's grandma.
That's right. She was betrothed,
to the
right?
To the master waterbender. And
Right.
that's when he recognized the necklace on Katara. He's like, "Hey, where did you get that? I made that for." And he's like, "No, this is Gram's." And then the connections.
Whoa.
Good job, Avatar writers.
Yeah. And then so then there's some rites of adulthood, right? So like when they turn 14, Southern Water Tribe children are taken on a rite of passage known as ice dodging. So it's a sport where the children have to control a ship in turbulent water riddled with these large, haphazard chunks of ice, right? Yes. And, after completing the ritual, they're given marks of honor: the mark of the brave, mark of the wise, mark of the trusted, right? And of course, Katara, Sokka, and Aang earned these marks respectively for completing this ritual.
Yes.
Right. And then there's some other rites and practices. So chiefs make a voyage at least once in their reign to the water tribe sacred island. It's located at the halfway point between the northern and southern water tribes, so along the equator, I'm guessing, right, to pay respect to the land. It has a spiritual and cultural significance to both tribes. And also, before the 100 Years' War, the southern and northern tribes had a custom of coming together during a new moon called the New Moon Celebration. And I couldn't, in my research, I couldn't quite figure out if it was indeed this island that they had that celebration on or not. Yeah. And then shout out in the comments, maybe you know. And then the language, right? So mainly we're going to focus on names on this, right? So like the names in the southern and northern tribes, people like often include one or two K's and have an ah sound, right? So Katara, Hakoda, Sokka, Paku, Kaya, Kuruk, Kana, Arnuk, Korra, Tarlok, Yakone, Nautak, Eska, Varik. Whew! Okay. So yeah, you kind of get that sense there.
And
And then
Korra too, right? Korra's from the southern water tribe, right? Did you say Korra?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not, because I'm keeping it
keep it secret.
And wait, I did say Korra after Arnuk.
There's just so many K's going on in there.
There's a lot. There's a lot of K's and ahs. Yeah. Okay. And then this naming structure, however, doesn't happen in the Foggy Swamp tribe. So I don't know what's going on there, But different culture, different, different.
It's the Florida.
Exactly. It's the Florida man in them. So now, tying it back just to some real world parallels that I kind of see, and I don't know, I feel that a lot of people would make this connection, but like the northern and southern water tribes, Inuit, like northern polar natives, right? And then the Foggy Swamp tribe really have this like Amazon, Papua New Guinea kind of vibe going,
and kind of like Mississippi River or Florida Everglades.
Yeah, exactly. Indigenous. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah. So that's
and it's also really cool too because it's mentioned a lot in the show and all that too, where their healing abilities with the water tribe compared to other elements. And there's even the Sakura has that healing ability which brings Aang back to the show, and could even possibly heal Zuko's scar when it's talked about and stuff like that. And also, since water benders are able to flow more, that's where Uncle Iroh figured out how to pass electricity through his body, because it was actually a water bending technique.
Current.
Yeah, because he was like sending the current out and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And then water benders have an ultimate power, blood bending.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that lends to their range and fluidity, right? Is they have like these healing powers, but also like
devastating powers.
It can be really dark. Yeah. Magic.
And I like how every element has that dark one. We were talking about air bending last time, and it was basically sucking out the air,
suffocate people. Yeah.
And then blood bending is you don't have control over your body. And I know it's only during a full moon in the Avatar series, but in the original series, but we see it progress more through the future series. But it's a really OP move that could be very devastating if you move a neck a certain way, kind of thing.
Yeah. And we're just going to go.
Technically, you could probably create blood clots in people's veins, and also in their brains and all that stuff too. If you're able to move blood like that. And
heart attacks, dude. You could
probably even freeze the heart if you really wanted to. It's kind of scary, like the power that comes with water. Or just our bodies are made of so much water.
Just go. All your blood stops flowing in your body, and you're it's not the nice to think about.
But it's also really cool to see the differences between the southern and the northern tribes in the show too, where like you have this tiny little wall in the southern tribe, and obviously they kidnapped or captured all of the waterbenders in the southern tribe, so they didn't have warriors down there, but even their village is so tiny compared to the northern water tribe. And like you see the different layers are like moving water down like the Panama Canal. It's like, they're raising and moving people through and all this stuff. It's just and it's crazy how it's just so different, and even their customs are slightly different too. Where the Southern Water Tribe technically had more freedom, but the Northern had more safety, but less freedom. But they had safety within their roles, I guess you can say, from the
Right.
But yeah, it's a beautiful series. We really enjoy it. It's also really cool to see the connection between the spirits and the waterbenders too, how they get their power from the moon and like the ocean, and we see them, you know, within the actual story too, where they actually hang out in the Northern Water Tribe. It's just crazy, like the spirits that would grant that they live with them too. So it's just a really cool show, and waterbenders are freaking awesome.
Heck yeah, man.
I mean, I don't want to say what my favorite is until we're done with everything, but waterbending.
You holding out on me?
I'm holding out on
Okay.
everyone, and you are too. You're not going to tell anyone. You guys have to stay here until we at least finish all of the major bending elements, and then we can jump into it. But weaknesses of waterbenders are basically being somewhere where there's no water. So like in deserts, we saw when Katara was in the desert, she was like, I felt like I was so out of element, where I basically, you know, had to use sweat or, you know, whatever just to get water because there was like no water around and stuff like that. So
sometimes the way you really train, like learn to know your true potential, is to work within the confines that are given.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So there it is. There's the Water Tribe, history, background, customs, all that great stuff. We're super into this show. We're excited for the new ones to come out. We have a Appa t-shirt. I guess it's not technically Appa, it's a Kabuki Appa mask.
Yes.
Yep. Go check it out on thebestmadershirts.com. Go check out Kyle's Instagram. He's a super talented artist. Pecos with the 0 is his Instagram name. Go check him out. Let him know you came from Azart. And just so you know, we're covering tons of other shows here. We have, what's the new show on HBO Max we're going to be covering? The animated space one?
A Scavenger's Reign, I believe.
Scavenger's Reign.
Yes.
We're going to be doing Severance breakdowns here. We're going to be doing Dune breakdowns here. We've been covering other animations too throughout the year, to Unicorn Warriors, to Primal, you name it. We're trying to cover it here with our spare time. We really enjoy this stuff, so subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next Azart.
Ha-cha-cha.
It takes a while to commune with nature. He says something like that.
Actually, yeah.